We've got no spare wheel because I forgot to get it fixed. I've crucified my spine, we're completely lost, and I am really pissed off. And short of legging it the rest of the way, I don't think we'll be doing much partying tonight now, somehow.
Welcome to episode 27 of the Jonathan Creek podcast, where we're not in the best of moods, but I think a party still may be in order.
Always ready for a party.
Sometimes ready for a party.
That's a lie, isn't it? Yes.
Yeah, early night is what I'm looking forward to after this.
Plenty of sleep.
How are you?
I'm not too bad, Gerry. How are you this week?
Grand.
Excellent.
Yeah. Summertime approaching, or certainly the springtime. Better weather.
It's threatening to. It's not quite hay fever season yet, so...
Anything that's not snow is regarded as summer these days.
Yeah, for once.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The Grinning Man is what we have.
Do you know any grinning men?
A few smirking ones. Decent enough episode. You mentioned, I think the last time, that this was one that stood out for you when you originally watched it.
Well, when we started doing the podcast, my recollection was, I remember as a kid really liking this episode, but it turns out I was already an adult when it was broadcast, so perhaps that's why I remember it a bit better than the others.
A new sidekick we have for Jonathan, the third.
We do, I like her.
She's good.
Not just in this, I like her in various things.
She's very good.
Yeah, talented.
Mm-hmm. You've not mentioned for a while, but why don't you remind people of the social channels that you may be able to get us on if you so wish? Yeah,
we've let people off the hook for 25 episodes, but we always appreciate when you take the time to head over to Apple Podcasts or iTunes and leave us a wee review and a nice rating, because it helps us know that you're enjoying the show and that it's reaching people who love Jonathan Creek, and that's always good to know, whether it's in the UK or the US or whatever iTunes store you belong to. If it's not the UK one, maybe tweet us or something and let us know that you've done it. You can get us there at Creek Podcast, and it's the same on Facebook. We're at Creek Podcast on Facebook as well.
What about the website?
It's www.jonathancreekpodcast.com, I believe.
Yeah, leave us a few comments if you wish.
Yeah, well, there's usually a little bit of chat about each episode on there, so if you want to...
Yeah, we really appreciate that, enjoy it.
If you want to contribute your thoughts, feel free to chip in and counter anybody that you disagree with, or, I don't know, make friends with the ones that you do.
The Jonathan Creek Podcast website, a place to... It's the new Tinder.
Yeah, something like that.
I think we'll just crack on.
Well, let's just do that. The Grinning Man picks up 5 years after we left Jonathan in Gorgon's Wood, when his investigative itch is drawn to the surface by neophyte sleuth Joey Ross. Joey is shocked when her friend disappears during a weather-enforced stopover, the 8th such vanishing from the creepy attic room at an otherwise still very creepy Gothic mansion in the English countryside. The old adage says 2 heads are better than 1, but can Jonathan work with an intellect so similar to his own, or will conflict emerge? And can they keep the disappearance from the local press, even as they partake in a little tomb raiding?
Thank you, Ian. Apparently, Joey Ross's character was originally called Phoebe Monica.
Yeah, I think it's ripped straight out of Friends, isn't it?
Don't know.
The timing makes sense.
Does it?
I reckon David Rennick was sitting at home watching an episode of Friends and thought, well, that would make a good name for a sidekick.
Yeah, but this is what, 12 years after? Or man, more? When was Friends?
Well, Friends ran for 10 years.
Yeah, but...
To about 2009, something like that.
When this finished. When this started.
That's around about this time, yeah.
Yeah, but already had been on the go for...
It was the biggest show on television.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's nothing to do with that, but it seems...
Could be.
Coincidental. We should maybe tell folk that we're not going right through to the finish.
That's a point. Yes, it's a 2-hour episode, so that's far too much for us, and no doubt for you guys. So we'll split this about halfway.
Yeah, 2 podcasts. Double the fun.
Well...
Fun's one word.
We have a pre-credits film footage backstory this week, where this movie describes the vanishing of a man from the country mansion of the famous spiritualist Jacques Futrelli.
Yeah, it's his home named Metropolis.
Impressive building. We can discuss that later.
Absolutely.
High-profile guests were invited, including a skeptic.
Yes, Eli Mencken.
And we are told that the attic was supposed to be haunted by a lunatic who was held there by his own family.
Yes, his ghost now takes revenge on others.
So this Mencken agrees to be locked in the room overnight with different guests holding a key to different padlocks.
Yes, so no one of them could let him out and succeed in foiling the plot.
And of course, in the morning, Mencken had vanished, leaving only his clothes and a sticky secretion on the bed.
Well, we've all done that in hotel rooms before.
A little black light.
It's like Jackson Pollock in there.
We then have the credits before we arrive at a TV show.
Yeah, it's basically the same sort of idea, but it's television for the 21st century. No, it's the 21st century now. It's almost like a children's sort of young adult show, maybe.
Yeah, a presenter enthusiastically introduces us to a guest with a fantastic mind.
And a wicked website.
Yes, we'll get to that. They apparently have a talent for uncovering seemingly impossible mysteries. But as the camera pans up to this person, it's not Jonathan who we might expect it to be.
Well, yeah, I think that's what you're led to think, but it's this Joey Ross, who has a website called checkreality.co.uk.
Yeah, we'll get to that in the trivia.
Oh, okay, I looked it up as well.
Yeah. I do that all the time with websites.
Yeah, every time they come up, I wanted to make sure it wasn't set up as a fake.
She apparently exposes strange phenomena and unsolved mysteries on behalf of people who write in to her website. The language for 2009 is ridiculous.
Yeah, this is only 9 years ago now. It's not what you would. It's not what you would say.
No. From the TV show, we head over to the windmill.
Well, yeah, we go to Jonathan watching the TV show on his television, so we still see what's happening on the show, but from Jonathan's perspective.
Yeah, he is dozing in front of this TV and manages to spill a drink all over his groin.
It's very unfortunate. Hopefully it wasn't too hot a drink.
Did you not do something similar earlier?
I poured cream all over my desk, chair and carpet.
That's right. That's the claim. Anyway.
Yeah, we hear in the background Joey talking about a friend's weird experience. It reminded me of the one with Jack D.
In what way?
When the woman's hair grew back really quickly. This problem was a woman found her husband in bed with the neighbour and stubbed out her cigarette in the woman's foot, and then just minutes later the woman ran down the stairs semi-naked, her clothes having been thrown out on the lawn, but with no apparent injury.
And how was it resolved?
There were two women in the bed.
Oh. In any case, an unimpressed Jonathan.
Did you think he was unimpressed? I thought he looked mildly intrigued.
Do you think so?
I don't know whether he was intrigued by her or by the fact that they were showing an interest in lateral thinking.
I don't know. It's just when she described herself as having natural intuition, I thought it was a little bit dismissive, perhaps.
Is that not what he would say about himself?
Yeah, but not about other people.
Maybe.
So he turns over the channel.
Yes, and he finds Adam's latest magic show.
Yes, but notes in horror the comments coming in from viewers who believe Adam to be a ham.
Yeah, for some reason the channel broadcasting that spent the money to buy this show is broadcasting nothing but criticism in a crawl across the bottom of the screen. And also the secret to some of the tricks.
Yeah, that wouldn't be allowed.
No.
The live audience seems to be enjoying it, however.
They do.
Oh, fair enough.
At this point, Jonathan's phone rings and he answers it with a curt, "Don't. I've just seen it."
Down in the pub, Joey takes a video call.
It's a very old school video call, isn't it? Sort of slidey phone thing.
An old Nokia, yeah, from a very cheesy looking boyfriend who apparently is in Chicago. Not the musical this time, but actually Chicago in business.
Yep.
And I think he has a running theme throughout the episode. He is apologising for a delay in returning home.
Yeah, there's some reason he has to work long hours, far away.
But at this, Joey's friend arrives and invites her to a party that will involve a fair bit of a drive.
And we cut immediately to the end of that drive.
In the dark and wet, we find Joey changing the wheel as her friend Mina keeps herself clean and dry in the car. Mina, I wouldn't be having that.
No. I mean, Mina's got a terrible excuse for it. She's got a brand new dress on, and there's no point in both of them ending up looking like shit.
Yeah, that's not acceptable.
No.
So a furious Joey gets back in the car. We heard this at the top of the podcast to tell Mina the state of play, when suddenly a car drives up and a sinister figure approaches and offers them a lift.
Yeah, Mina immediately starts flirting with this guy.
Mm-hmm. I also thought that Rennick had continued his fascination for the womanly form in this episode, certainly at the beginning.
Well, I don't know if he chooses all the costumes himself. Is that a scripted costume?
I think it will be, yeah. I don't think, Sheridan Smith doesn't choose her own wardrobe.
There'll be a costume department.
Yeah.
They'll just be told, women in their early 20s, 2009.
Okay.
I think we let him off the hook a wee bit on this one.
Not sure.
Not so much for the way that he writes Mina's approach to this man, which is entirely unrealistic.
Yeah, what happens is they accept a lift, and as they drive off, we see through a lightning flash a face steer out from the back of from a bin bag in the back of the car.
Yeah, I think we're meant to believe there's a body in the boot.
It's a bit like an urban myth, an urban legend, isn't it?
Yeah.
Where are we off to next?
I believe it's a studio.
Yes, I think it's Pinewood.
Yeah, I didn't figure that out for about 20 minutes after this, but they mentioned the studio nurse later on, so it must be the studio.
Jonathan is moaning to Adam about the disaster of the TV show and how audience on-screen interaction is ruining his act.
I did enjoy that Adam told him that he needed to raise his game.
Yes. He thinks it's a wake-up call for Jonathan.
Yeah.
But the reason for this attitude, I suppose, is he has other things on his mind.
Yeah, he's going to do a tribute to Roy Orbison.
Yes. He pulls out a pair of dark shades to tell Jonathan about the future of porn.
Yes, 3D glasses for his 3D TV. That is one thing that didn't catch on. That's now failed.
What? 3D porn?
3D television in the home.
Oh, yeah.
They tried it. People didn't like it.
Marketing gimmick. Anti-piracy attempt. The whole 3D
even
thing
they
is...
did football in 3D at home and stuff. That didn't work. Nobody
No.
liked it. You had to sit in the exact right position. And
Yeah. Nonsense.
it would only work if you could do it without glasses.
Yeah. 3D eyes.
No, just projection of some kind from your screen.
You think
I
it's
don't
some
know
sort
how
of
it
Star Wars?
I don't know. They need to come up with something that involves the perception of 3 dimensions without you having to sit there with stupid
I'll
glasses.
tell you how you get 3D football.
Go to the game.
Go to the game, precisely. We then have a nice, if somewhat padded visual gag as they both watch and react to the
Yeah, we
entertainment.
react identically to the entertainment.
Yeah. And Adam invites Jonathan to go with him to a meeting with Snuffy White, I think that's his name.
The finance guy for the porn technology studio.
Yes. Someone who wants to get Adam involved in backing this new venture.
Yes.
We head to a mansion now.
Yeah, it's like something straight out of Rocky Horror.
Mm.
As they're welcomed at the door while eerie music play.
Yes. Joey and Mina are very impressed when the car pulls up to this house. I think it's called Metropolis.
Yeah, Glenn is the man who's driving. He advises that he's just a tenant here.
Yeah, I don't understand how that works.
We never figure out. I'm guessing maybe a groundskeeper that gets to stay.
Well, I think we find out he works for the owner's son or the owner.
Does he? What's his job?
Well, he's helping him out with all the magic stuff.
Was he? I
Yeah.
didn't quite catch that. I thought he was just kind of driving around and stuff.
I think maybe he's a general helper out.
Dog's body.
Yeah,
Yeah.
gopher.
Helper outer. I like that. Yeah, the man welcoming them is a Lance Gessler.
Yeah, a goatee sporting fellow who, he's got a touch of the David Copperfield about him.
Yeah, I'd have said that. Maybe not quite as...
Cheesy.
Well, that's one word. Still go with your word. Cheesy's fine.
So inside, we see that Lance is a stage magician who ushers them further into the house as we see the driver remove the body from the boot.
Yeah, Lance makes a comment that they're not going to make it to their party. Now, are we assuming that we've skipped over a bit what he was told about this?
Yeah, I assume that during the journey that he asked him, where are you going?
He's not in the car, though. Lance is the guy who was at the house.
Oh, sorry, Lance said this.
Yeah.
Yeah, he must have been told, but assuming this has been discussed.
Yes, so this body that's being retrieved from the car by Glenn, it looks more like a mannequin now. It doesn't bend in any way.
Yes, we find out that it is in fact a dummy. And that the person represented by the mannequin appears at the top of the stairs.
Yes, Elodie.
Yeah, her name annoys me.
It's
you
like
want to say Melody.
Yeah.
I've not heard of anyone called Elodie. It's not unpleasant, but it's hard to say because it's so rare.
Yeah.
She is Lance's partner, I believe, in her private and professional life.
Yeah, she's his Debbie McGee.
That's one way of looking at it.
And she is quite impressed by the likeness that the doll bears towards her.
It was very good.
It was.
Mm-hmm.
They also had Jack D's father on it.
Yeah. Gessler asks her to help out the refugees from the storm before inviting them for a nightcap. And as they walk off, what do we see?
We get a creepy shot of an elderly woman at the top of the stairs.
We do indeed. Back to Pinewood. As he's leaving the studios, Jonathan bumps into a blast from his past.
Yeah, a woman called Nicola. I don't think we've met her before, but Jonathan is certainly familiar with her.
Yet she seems astonished to find him not dead after 5 years, as that was what she'd been told, I think, at Carla's birthday party.
Carla's 35th. I mean, what we've I think her first meant to believe is that Jonathan's left this story for her to get away from her.
Yeah.
But it turns out, no. Carla told her at a party that Jonathan wasn't invited to. So obviously there's been a fallout between Jonathan and Carla. And Carla's just been spreading lies about him to upset him.
Indeed.
Yes, so Jonathan is obviously not disappointed to meet this woman and invites her out for dinner.
Jonathan goes to dinner. We go to Metropolis, where around the fire they all sit, and the lady, the elderly lady, who is Constance, Lance Gessler's mother, bemoans the lack of respect shown to her son in his own country and a close-minded nature that I suppose the Brits have, unlike in other areas of the world.
The genius is never recognised in his hometown.
Glenn then changes the subject in order to continue the evening.
Sort of tradition, though, isn't it? No one should really ever come to this house without hearing the tale of the nightmare room. Dates back to when Constance was a little girl in the 30s. Her father was like this world-famous medium, could supposedly communicate with the dead. It was just after he bought this place, am I right? They discovered this room, like an attic, right at the very top of the house.
Which totally gives me the creeps, the whole thing. So I think I'll say goodnight now, everyone. See you in the morning.
Yeah, maybe Elodie's right. It's not the night for it. We don't want to spook our house guests.
But now you've whet my appetite. So, what exactly happened then, in this attic?
No one who spent the night there has ever survived to tell us. Something in that room has caused 7 human beings to disappear without a trace, as if they never physically existed.
That's a very similar story to the one we heard at the start of the episode.
In
fact, it's the same story.
Exactly the same.
I almost don't want to talk about it again.
Let's not. In the bedroom, and after putting her back out, Joey goes to Mina's room for some paracetamol, but finds it empty, and so returns.
I quite enjoyed the sound effect for her putting her back out. That was quite gruesome.
Yeah, happens a few times in this episode. It's nice.
We cut to where Mina has gone.
Yeah, she's with Glenn in the corridor.
Yes, he's continuing the story with the live tour. And they're making their way up to the attic.
Yeah, tension builds as they creep up the stairs and arrive at the door from which Glenn removes the padlocks, whilst telling her about the 6 people or 7 people who have vanished over the years.
Mina's not that impressed once she gets in the room, although there is one item that she finds disturbing.
What's that?
The creepy painting.
Yes, it is quite a sinister looking work.
Glenn insists that it's priceless.
Yes, it's Hieronymus Bosch.
No doubt stolen.
Yeah, I've mentioned that before, I think. Maybe not on mic, but the Michael Connelly books, which are now on Amazon. Bosch TV show, it's good.
Right, okay.
That's his name.
Yeah.
He's named after this.
After the washing machine.
Spin cycle.
Yeah, and back to the beginning. She kisses Glenn at this point, and he is initially receptive, but then freaks out a little bit when he realises, I think, where he is.
Yeah, it brings it to a very sharp halt, and Mina effectively takes a huff.
Well, she takes offence, I think,
Yeah.
at his withdrawal, and the fact that he would put a silly superstition ahead of a night of
Passion.
romance with her. Yes.
And so she, like a spoiled brat, refuses to leave the room. She doesn't have any clothes with her, doesn't have I suppose she doesn't have a change of clothes anyway, but still, you wouldn't refuse. She says, I'll stay in here all night, lock the padlocks if you
why
want.
would you want padlocked in? Just say, don't lock the padlocks, leave it open.
This is a contrivance.
Yeah.
I mean, it really should have been another way to get her into this room other than her just taking the huff.
Yeah, a challenge of some kind or something.
Yeah,
like
a
that.
bet would have been the easy way to do it. What I don't understand is he agrees. So he should have said, no, you're okay. If you want to stay here, fine. But why would he lock her in?
I don't know. Maybe he doesn't want to be found out for having been there.
But if you lock someone in it...
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. It's a strange one.
Very. So back in the attic later on, she's not quite as ballsy now. She hears some noises and gets up and locks the door from the inside this time and wedges her chair behind it.
Yeah, we get a bit of a thunder and lightning storm to add to the atmosphere.
And she's obviously getting scared as the painting stares out at her. And we then have a very nice shot from outside the attic. I thought a few times in this episode, the external scenes, I'm not sure if that was a matte painting itself or if it was a genuine, if it's CGI or something.
Right. Yeah, some of the exteriors were very nice. In fact, a lot of them were. Over at the porn studio.
Yes, this is the first time we are here. Jonathan is on the phone to Nicola arranging a date and deriding the movie that Adam has got involved in. What was it called?
I didn't write that down.
Yeah, Snow White and the Seven Dudes. It's a really,
Seven Dudes, yeah.
That's a crap porn parody title.
Yeah, no, it's terrible.
I mean, there's some classics out there as well, or well, might know. I don't, but you might.
You could come up with.
Yeah, Shaving Ryan's Privates was a good one.
Yeah, there's many.
12-inch Mutant Ninja Turtles, that was another good one.
I've not seen that one.
I've not seen any of these, I've just heard the titles.
There used to be a list. In fact, it's probably one of the oldest things on the internet.
Oh, yeah.
Back from the early 90s. A list of hilarious porn parody movie titles.
But Snow White and the Seven Dudes, that's garbage.
There's not been a lot of thought put into that.
None at all.
But I wonder if that's deliberate to show that it's a... I get the impression it's a failing studio. And they need Adam's money.
Yeah. Adam comes over to tell him that the production company needs a lot of capital, so you might be right from him, but he doesn't appear to rule out the investment, although the star of the movie, I think her name's Candy Mountains,
Yes.
who he is drooling over may have something to do with his willingness to...
Yeah, well, he's leching a bit, which leads to Jonathan leaving, and Adam toddles in to watch them film, which is disturbing in itself. You'd have thought they'd have a closed set.
Porn? Nah.
I suppose with his money, he might be...
Nah, I think they're porn stars. It's not a...
No, they're still people.
Yeah, I know, but that's what they do for a living. They're used to having people watch them have, people watching them have sex.
But it's a bit different on video than in person,
How do you know?
I would imagine.
Okay, let's move on. Back to Metropolis.
Glenn's making the coffee that he promised to Mina the night before.
Yeah, Joey wakes up with a start and goes to Mina's bedroom, which she is surprised, I don't know why, to find hasn't been used.
Yes, Glenn heads up to the attic while Joey heads down the stairs.
Yes, but after releasing the padlocks, he can't get in, obviously because Mina had barricaded herself in.
Yes, so he breaks the door down.
Very drastic. I mean, she might have still been... He only shouts and chaps it a few times.
Yeah, but I suppose the legend might be in his head. He might be thinking, oh, she's disappeared, I need to get in.
Could be, but she might be taking a dump or something, It's,
She could have shouted, I suppose.
yeah, or still asleep.
Yeah, that's more likely,
Yeah.
But she's not there.
No, but her clothes are.
Yes.
Look a bit ripped and lying on the floor. Out in the barn, that's where Joey has headed. She finds Gessler, Elodie and Constance practising a trick that involves Elodie escaping from a wheel that she's been tied to.
Yeah, she's just basically got a blade on the end of her finger that she uses to slice through a bit of rope.
Yeah, she's obviously struggling, however, but says that she just needs the practice.
Yeah, I think it's a technical, physical thing that she's trying to do. It's not a skill so much as the execution of the plan.
Constance is openly doubtful. I think that Gessler is obviously the apple of her eye, and if this partner's not up to snuff, she won't be pleased.
Showbiz mother.
At this point, Glenn runs in panicking. So Joey, I think, has been standing at in the side just watching.
Yeah, they didn't really know she was there, I don't think.
He shouts, "Oh God," and Joey immediately knows it's about Mina.
Obviously.
So they're all up in the attic now. Glenn mentions what happened the night before.
They just accept his story, which is absurd.
Yeah, I think we'll chat about what should happen next, but let's go through this a little bit first. They note that her clothes look as if they've been ripped off her, and Joey admits that she doesn't know what has happened, but insists that she will find out.
Constance does seem a bit more sympathetic now, less harsh.
Well, she says that if she is going to find out, she'll need some help. Now, this is the point where you say, yep, she certainly will, from the police.
Yes, tear up the floorboards, let's find out where she's gone.
You go immediately to the cops. My friend has went missing in this strange, creepy house. There's two guys in here, one of which took her to the room by his own admission.
Yeah, Joey's spider sense should be going nuts here. These three people, or four people she's never met before, are saying, okay, she's missing, let's not do anything hasty.
Yeah, because one of them told her a ghost story the night before.
Yeah, just do what we say.
Precisely. Get yourself to the cops, and as you mentioned, within an hour, they should be taking that house to bits.
Yes.
There should be fingerprints everywhere, DNA, the lot. But no, she's happy to admit that she's a despicable friend, is Joey Ross.
Well, she's certainly being manipulated at the very least.
I liked the next shot.
Yeah, it's a country pub.
Yeah, well, we focus on the windmill first, and then we sort of pan down to the town, the village at the foot of it. So it's putting the windmill into a bit of context that we've not seen before.
Yes, absolutely. It looked to me like the pub he visited in No Trace of Tracy back in season 1.
Yeah, I think it's just a similar village pub.
English village pub with the outdoor seating. Yeah,
Yeah.
it could be. Jonathan's there with Nicola.
Yeah, she seems a touch clingy as she talks about how dangerous his job is and the stuff that he's been involved in over the years, and how that now that they might be back together, she could not bear to lose him again. She's got a touch of the psycho about her.
He should be running a mile.
Instead, he insists that it was only due to the 2 previous women in his life, and as they are now gone, it's unlikely that he will be drawn into any caper in the future.
Well, he refers to them as Carla and her predecessor.
Yeah.
It's like they filled 2 completely different roles in his life. They both happened to be involved in investigations, but most of the time he brought Carla along. It wasn't the other way around. And he doesn't even give Maddie her name.
It's not just that. It wasn't even the fact that he brought Carla, but her partner, her husband, got him employment.
Yeah, it's very
Shows
ungrateful.
Ungrateful, lack of respect.
Yes.
I suppose we don't know actually what happened with him and Carla.
Who can say? He makes a comment to Nicola that he won't be getting dragged into this all again, like you said. And then his mood changes slightly when he spots someone.
Yeah, well, he sees Joey enter the beer garden and sit beside a local tramp.
Yes.
And I think that he suspects that she might be looking for him.
Yeah, I suspect so. And he also suspects he's about to get dragged back into one of these things again.
Yes. Back over to Metropolis, and after arranging for someone to come and fix her car, Joey hears the old news footage being listened to from another room, which she enters. However, there's a surprise.
Yeah, it's not Constance watching this old archive reel, it's Jonathan.
Indeed it is. Who is then introduced to her by Constance, who apologises for the confusion yesterday and tells her that Jonathan is up to date on what's been happening. Now, what was the confusion yesterday?
Yeah, she went to the windmill looking for Jonathan and was told by someone, neighbour, that he'd gone to the pub.
Yep, and described him, I suppose.
I guess so. Probably just called him Harry or something. She got to the pub and asked this first guy if he was Creek.
Yeah.
And he said yes. So she tried to talk to him, and Jonathan's outraged that she thought that guy could be him.
Yeah, I thought it was a nice touch.
Yeah, she says that she's very sorry that his international reputation hasn't reached her. It's a bit odd, though, to be operating in that field and not know. He's been a celebrity for a number of years.
Yeah,
fairly recently.
Yeah, he's been on the TV. She should know what he looks like.
Yeah, let's be aware, yeah. Anyway, he is not happy with her, but leads the way upstairs regardless.
Yeah, upstairs, Jonathan has a look around, but it's probably not in the mood to find Joey has already ruled out everything he is
I
considering.
quite enjoyed this because this is exactly what he does to other people.
Yeah, it's good.
And every time he tried something, she narrated what she'd already discovered.
He does, however, go on to summarise his thoughts as they stand.
So we're right at the top of the house here. What's underneath us?
Oh, just the room you slipped in. It's a bit of a maze down there, but I could show you later.
So when this first guy, Mencken, disappeared in 1938, I suppose that would have rather played into your father's hands. Man of science, defeated by forces no one could explain.
I'm afraid it was later that year both my parents died in a car crash. I was brought up by an aunt in Westphalia, and the house was rented out. And over the next 40 years, the story of what happened here prompted one or two others. With that daredevil mentality I cannot comprehend.
To try their luck with the ghost.
And every time they did.
I returned with Lance and my late husband in 1989. And since then... Foolishly, you just ignore these things and hope they'll go away, but... What form of magic do you think, Jonathan, are we looking at here? I suppose whatever dark oblivion lies before us all, we'll have to face it, won't we? Someday. In one form or another.
A couple of things. There's a wee nugget there. She says that she moved to live with an aunt in Westphalia. So that's her moving to North Germany right before World War II begins.
Okay.
And she doesn't return until 89 at the fall of the Iron Curtain.
Do you think that says something about her...
We don't know. Just it's a nugget there in the story.
Something else was a little bit contradictory.
Yeah, she's talking, and she's done this earlier in the episode as well, where she talks about the possible and the impossible and believing in things that aren't explainable. But she helps her son do a magic show. She knows they're all fake tricks.
Yeah. Her son's a stage magician. He's not a spiritualist or
Yeah.
anything else.
There's nothing inexplicable. She's there seeing the nuts and bolts of all the tricks. She knows what's happening.
Yeah. Elodie with her little nail file or little nail knife.
Elodie, do that inexplicably, please.
Yeah, it's an odd...
It doesn't make sense.
Doesn't. Anyway, as she was talking, they all ended up looking at the painting that she explains was by Bosch, which she saved from a fire a long time ago.
Interesting.
And goes on to talk about how mankind lives and dies, but history goes on forever. I think she's waffling here.
She starts talking about the permanent and the impermanent. It's all a bit odd. She then leaves.
Yes, and Jonathan asks Joy if Mina enjoyed a prank. But she reminds him that this is her friend that is missing. This isn't just a brain teaser or a puzzle.
Yeah, she's genuinely very worried at this stage.
Well, you
about
would be,
Mina.
but not worried enough to go to the police.
No, obviously not.
No, I'll go to magician's assistant. That's 999 666.
That's the 4 options, isn't
Yeah.
it? Police, fire, coast guard, and magician's assistant.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, they both agree that she was not whisked off by spirits. And Joy is sure, because of the damaged tights, that a third party, whether it's a person or a creature, is involved.
Mm-hmm.
I say creature, animal, not magical creature like wood nymph or something.
But at this, she jumps into his arms when a bird flies into the window.
Yeah, he reassures her and she also leaves.
Yes, leaving him alone as he notes a spider and a number of dead flies that fall from above the bed when the mattress is pushed on.
I think, yeah, it's a curtains attached to the corners of the bed, so it's all tied together.
Yeah, that's disgusting.
It is. So how did they not fall out when Mina jumped on the bed?
Yeah.
It's a bit odd, unless that's her body turned to bugs by magic.
We'll find out.
It's not.
Constance shows him into this room, which is directly under the attic, apparently. And he opens up the window to look out and upwards.
Yeah, they keep talking about this room that Joey stayed in as being directly under the attic, and we see the attic's at the top of a column. But then Mina's room was directly opposite Joey's in the hall. Surely that's also directly below the attic.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't seem to
These
come up.
old buildings, Ian.
I suppose it's a maze out there. You cross one corridor and suddenly...
Jonathan then goes outside to look up at the attic room, and he sees the dead bird that scared Joey.
Yeah, I think that gives him a bit of perspective on where he was when he was in the attic.
Yeah, it's on the roof just below the window where he would expect it to be.
Yeah.
And as he is looking, he overhears Glenn and Elodie having an argument.
Well, is it an argument? They're having a discussion anyway.
Slightly heated, I think.
And they both come to the conclusion that they know what they have to do.
It's a bit suspicious. She claims that she knew, somebody else that is, the risks and what she was getting into.
Yeah, you assume she's talking about Mina choosing to sleep in the room.
Yeah. And as you mentioned, she goes on to say that they both know what they have to do now and that they should have done it a long time ago. And Glenn agrees.
Yeah, and we cut inside to what I presume is a library.
Indeed. What happens?
Well, Jonathan's talking to Lance to see what he thinks about all this, and he says he's been through that room many times and not discovered anything about how people are disappearing.
Yeah, he commits to nothing, save that the house has a history of its own.
Yeah, Constance comes through with some of her father's effects.
Yes, and Gessler invites Jonathan to have a look through.
Yeah, the first thing that catches their interest, Joey's interest in particular, is a diary entry. I have some questions about this.
Yeah, okay, tell us about this diary.
Okay, I can't remember exactly what it says, but it basically seems to describe Mencken's disappearance, but using her sleuthing skills, Joey points out it was written on 24th of March or April, whatever St. George's Day is. I think it's April.
Yeah.
And not June when the disappearance actually happened. Now, obviously there is a law that says you cannot write on a diary page once the day has passed, so it must have been written before the event.
Yeah, that's true. Jonathan also shows himself up here, doesn't he?
Yeah, he doesn't catch the St. George's Day part.
That's the most obvious.
Yeah.
You
Well,
don't
I
need to be
suppose
any
you
sort of sleuth.
Maybe overlook the obvious when you're looking for something more convoluted.
Yeah.
No, but then, he, without looking at it, thinks he's solved it. So maybe it's staged with the air rubbed out, he says.
Yeah. Also in this box are some old photos, newspaper cuttings, and I think the diary entry also talks about trying to figure out the riddle of the attic and how Mencken Mencken disappeared, leaving ectoplasm everywhere.
Yeah, I think they have to figure out the ectoplasm. I think, is it that maybe what it says?
Yeah.
Something along those lines anyway. You mentioned newspaper cutting. That was very interesting to me.
Okay, tell us about it.
Okay, so Jonathan describes it as a newspaper cutting about Hitler burning the Reichstag.
Mm-hmm.
That's a conspiracy theory, because the official story is that the communists burned the Reichstag, which led to the Nazis enforcing anti-communist laws, eliminating the opposition in parliament, and therefore led to Nazi Germany, because they had no opposition. So Jonathan is suggesting here that this is a false flag operation carried out by the Nazis, which is not... He's not the only person who's ever said that. That is a conspiracy theory that exists and is endorsed by some historians, but it's not the
mainstream
It's not the mainstream view of what happened there.
Okay. All this, however, leads to the opinion that the episode was planned in advance with Mencken and Fratelli involved together.
Yeah, and the one other point is that newspaper article is annotated.
Yes.
It's had the words Felix dies written on it.
Yes, 28th of the 2nd, 33, I think is the date.
Okay. So I wondered at this stage, are we looking for a false flag operation here then? What would the false flag be?
I'm not sure, but this is a box of effects. We're assuming the only effects that relates to the case.
Yeah.
Gessler, or over the decades, Joey and Jonathan have apparently worked this out within 2 minutes of looking at this box. No one else has put this together.
Well, maybe they have and ruled it out, or maybe they don't have conclusive evidence to just have a theory. I mean, what are they going to do with it? If Lance thinks so maybe they were in it together, what's he going to do with that information?
They're saying this mystery, no one knows what's happened to these people, but if it's looking you in the face and saying, okay, it's my setup, then...
Yeah, but as we're about to find out, maybe it's not as it seems. We're not about to find out, because first of all, we're stopping by for some more pornography.
We are indeed. We're at the movie set. Adam very inappropriately suggests that he gets breastfed from Candy, who is holding a baby that's not her own. I did like the next line, however.
What was that?
Well, she returns it to the mother, and Adam quips that it's like taking a baby from Candy.
I'm not sure she gets the joke, but she laughs anyway, because
Yeah.
I think she's been told he's going to invest.
Okay.
It reminded me a little bit of, I don't know if you've seen Moulin Rouge, but there's a duke who's going to invest in the theatre, and they're all really nice to him, even though they hate him, because they think they're going to get his money.
Yeah.
Anyway, she talks about how much she loved Adam's show on the television the night before, and how much she loved the tricks.
Yes, especially the disappearing elephant and the fact that he could make his own pulse stop.
Yes, she asks if that was real, and he refuses to reveal his secrets.
And I think that Adam is obviously using this potential power that he has to smarm his way into Candy's charms. Well, now I think it's Nicola's house.
Is it? Okay.
Their relationship has developed as they are now sleeping together. But she makes it clear that she is not interested in his case or any cases that he's working on, and ignores his frustration at missing the St. George's Day clue.
Yeah, she makes an obscure reference to what would have been a young Novak Djokovic beating Roger Federer. At the time, Djokovic was an unknown, so she calls him this unknown Serbian. But obviously we know what happened with that. Well, not everyone will know, but...
He took a lot of drugs and then became good.
That's not necessarily the factual version.
No, it's not proven.
Yeah, well, the less allegations we chuck out, the better, I think. I don't think he listens.
Probably not.
No.
Maybe his manager does. We're only joking. It's a comedy podcast.
Yes. Jonathan, I think, knows what she's doing, though, when she brings up the tennis, because obviously he's no interest in sports.
Yeah. She's just trying to make it clear that she doesn't want to talk about what he's
what he's going
thinking. Yeah. He gets into bed and ponders the tense of the word dies from the newspaper annotation, as Nicola dismisses the mystery by claiming that Mina must simply have managed to get out the window somehow and down a drain pipe.
Yeah. He mentions a party up at Metropolis on Saturday, but she can't go.
No. And she then tries to distract him physically, but realises that he is thinking of someone else.
Oh, he says, Hitler, very sorry. That's going to be a mood killer, if there ever was one.
Well, for some.
Well, yes, no,
There's some people who are into all that sort of
there
stuff.
are people on the alt-right who are going to be perhaps aroused by the mention of Hitler.
Yeah, dressing up and being...
Some of them listen to our
subjugated.
podcast, no doubt.
Possibly.
I think we get a cross-section of society, Jonathan. Creek's not a political show. Hi. People who are aroused by Hitler.
So we're at this garden party at Metropolis.
Did you enjoy the singing?
No.
Okay.
It's the Popini, I believe, sisters who are performing. And it's one of these styles that you get trends every now and again where, if you remember back in the day, maybe the Charleston type music,
Yes.
was there a few songs? Yeah, all that. And it's something that's, it's a fad or a phase. And I'm sure they're still going strong and doing their thing, but it's never seems organic or natural because they're always, that type of music is it's nodding back, or it's a nod back to a different time.
It's always a bit tongue-in-cheek.
Yeah.
We see all the characters we've met so far chatting inaudibly to themselves and to other people. And we're reintroduced to the conversation when Jonathan and Joey approach Constance.
Yes, I think she asks them to keep the recent events under their hats. And Gessler agrees, especially as 3 of his guests have quite a lot of local influence.
It's a very sort of hot fuzz sort of situation, isn't it?
Miss Marple, yes, small time gossip and...
No, but I mean, like, everyone's acting kind of weird, just slightly off.
Yes, under the surface,
Yeah.
there's an evilness.
Yes. So we've got the chair of the local round table, the newspaper editor and the magazine editor all arriving in one car. You feel like when they leave this party, they don't exist anymore.
No.
It's just all a set-up for some reason. Anyway,
Yeah.
it probably isn't. You should take it on face value.
These 3 ladies, however, have brought gifts.
Offerings for Lance.
Yeah, I think one of them was a jar of honey.
Yes, one of them was myrrh.
Bam.
Jonathan sees Glenn motion to Elodie, who makes her way off, and I think he suspects they maybe are executing the plan he heard them discuss previously.
Yes, I mean, we watch her furtively leave, and Jonathan follows, or certainly watches.
He begins to follow, and then I think he wants to go back for Joey, but she's not where he thought she would be.
No, she is on stage helping with a trick that Gessler is performing. But Jonathan is more interested, as you say, in getting her to partner him back to the church, and that's where we are. And hiding behind a bush, they witness Glenn, Elodie, and a few other people leave the building. And at this, Joey remembers that this is St Saviour's, the place where Futrelli and his wife are buried in the family crypt under the building.
I think it's worth mentioning that he did go back for Joey. With his previous partners, he would have been more than happy to go off by himself and not require their involvement. He obviously maybe sees something different in Joey than in the other 2.
Yeah, I think she has proven herself to be a lateral thinker, or certainly someone who doesn't take things at face value.
Opinions worth canvassing, yeah. We see, I think, 4 people leave the church, don't we?
Yeah, certainly a few.
And Glenn and Elodie, obviously, are 2 of them, and they wander off, and we then end up in the crypt.
Yeah, Jonathan doesn't see what the point that Joey is making about the family burial spot, but she tells him that they were definitely up to something in there and drags him inside. So they find a torch. I don't know where they got that from.
No, did they just, maybe it was just lying on the ground next to them.
Yeah, right. And downstairs it's even more convenient. I think there's a lamp that Jonathan lights.
Well, maybe Glenn and Elodie have been down there.
Yeah, could be. They come across a gate with some Latin on it, which Joey doesn't understand, but they walk through to find the family coffins. Now, there must be security here. You can't just have someone walking in and having coffins sitting there.
Well, I was going to say, this isn't how crypts work. You don't just have a coffin lying out on a table.
No, not with that lack of security.
You would have, there would be stonework. There would be some sort of tomb.
Yeah,
Like within the crypt, they would be encased in stone.
you would have thought so.
Anyway, Joey decides to open up Jacques' coffin to see what she can find. And when Jonathan asks if she has no respect for the dead, she says, well, what if we find a body in here? Which, probably not that unlikely.
No, but I think she's hoping it's not going to be the body of Mina.
Well, she's maybe relieved to discover that it is in fact a very old skeleton.
Yep, so moving on to the second coffin, Jonathan ponders some of the Latin inscriptions as it in turn is opened. But it too contains an old skeleton.
Yeah, Joey thinks they've reached the end of this part of the investigation.
Yes, a dead end. But Jonathan has other ideas.
Or, on the contrary, does it advance our thinking in one very key respect? Ego cubo hic praeter delector. Here I lie with my beloved, I presume that is. Written in the first person, so we can assume it was his choice of inscription. And how tempting is it to think that a man with a fondness for Latin, when scribbling a note to himself on that Reichstag cutting, Felix dies, was actually writing Felix dies.
Meaning what?
Meaning, I think it's safe to say that anyone who sees the pivotal moment in Hitler's rise to power as a happy day will probably have other issues with a man called Eli Mencken.
What, you think he was some kind of Nazi sympathiser?
Which pretty much kicks our theory of a collaboration into touch, and very probably suggests something far more sinister and far more impenetrable. Somehow or other, Futrell rigged up that room to dispose of a man he loathed and detested. And people have gone on dying there in the same way ever since.
That was a bit Mother Redcap, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. Yeah.
The death trap that was set up and then left.
Mm-hmm. Very much so. We're at the theatre.
Yes, Lance has a show on.
Yep, Jonathan, Joey and Nicola sit in the audience watching as Gessler and Elodie perform their illusion, which is pulled off with some aplomb.
Yeah, Elodie has come through at the last.
And during the interval, Joey takes another call from her annoying boyfriend as he again apologises for another delay in the returning home.
I'm sure it's all work related.
Why do you need to take a video call?
In the theatre?
In the theatre, yeah, just make a call. Just phone. That's what the phone's for.
Yeah.
Especially with that technology and the bandwidth you got back then.
It also should have a ridiculously clear signal. There's no way that video call would have held up at that quality.
Yeah.
Especially inside a building.
9 years ago.
No, not having it.
Nope.
Anyway, Nicola overhears this call and she sympathises with Joey, who is missing her boyfriend.
Yeah, she talks about guys in general, but says how lucky she is that Jonathan ticks all the boxes.
Literally, she's done a test in a magazine. He's an 89% match. That's her set.
Mm-hmm. I think Jonathan returns from getting some ice cream, and as Joey gets up, she hurts her back again.
Yes, but then, not caring, Jonathan insists he goes back for peanuts as well.
Yeah. Now, at this point, I might be wrong, but she mentioned something about the only way that this can be fixed is with either painkillers or a bath.
Did she?
I think maybe. Anyway, after the performance, we see Elodie alone backstage when she gets a fright as the lights are shut down and we have a point of view of someone menacing grab at her.
Yeah, well, that's the Creek trope, the point of view shot, once again in place here. Yes, she looks very concerned.
And outside we see Gessler ask Glenn, who is in the car, where Elodie is. And he tells her that she went back in 20 minutes ago for a costume. Realising
that's too long for her to take to find a costume, the two men go inside.
What do they find?
The costume on the floor and a note. Dun dun dun.
And that's, I think, Ian, a good place to end this week's podcast.
Okay, cheerio.
If only it were that simple.
Yes, yes.
Obviously, we can't do an episode review, so we shall run through some of the cast members and perhaps a little bit of trivia if we have anything.
Okay.
The 1st of January 2009 was the original air date, and this was in fact directed by Mr. David Rennick, the first of 3.
Well, we'll give him credit for some of the nice exteriors and some of the work they did in this directorial.
Certainly will. I forgot to mention in the last episode, the producer Verity Lambert, who had overseen 20 episodes of Jonathan Creek. She died in 2007, aged 71, but she was very well known in the British film industry. Her first job was on Doctor Who, where she produced 87 episodes from 63 to 65. That must have been the first 87 episodes.
Yeah, I think I remember when she produced her first Creek, I put it in the show notes back then. I think maybe season 2 or 3. Mm-hmm. So maybe worth folk going back. I'll maybe put it on again in last week's episode.
She's also been involved in Detective, Budgie, Couples, Minder, GBH, El Dorado, May to December and Love Suit. But yeah, very well known and very highly regarded TV producer.
Absolutely.
Sheridan Smith, as we mentioned, plays Joey Ross for the first time. She was born in 1981, an actress and singer. You might have seen her in Scylla, 2 pints of lager and a packet of crisps, The Moorside, Mrs. Biggs, Tower Block. It's a decent movie, that. I mean, it's silly, but quite fun. Gavin and Stacey, Grown Ups, Love Soup, Eyes Down, The Bill, Doctors or Holby City.
Or lots of things on stage as well.
Certainly,
I think she's got a one-woman show at the moment.
She's very good.
Very talented.
Lance Gessler was portrayed by Nicholas Bolton. He was born in 1968 and has appeared in Game of Thrones, Shakespeare in Love, Casualty, Doctors, Doctor Who from 2007, and Life Begins. He's also a prolific voice actor, and I think you might have some...
Yeah, he was the voice of, if you played Dragon Age 2, and you played Hawk as a male character, he was the male voice of Hawk.
Okay, that's very specific.
Well, you could have been a female Hawk, depends on who you are.
Never heard of Dragon Age 1 or 2.
The Dragon Age, and there's also a 3.
Is there?
There's going to be a 4. But yes,
Brilliant.
he was Hawk in the second one.
Okay. Naomi Bentley was Mina, born in 1982. She has been in Mount Pleasant, Great Night Out, White Van Man, Casualty, Ideal, Primeval, Grown Ups and Ellen Pascoe, amongst other things. It looks like she has now retired and is studying to be a mental health nurse. And a famous face in an earlier role, Catherine Parkinson played Nicola. She was born in 1978 and is probably most famous for the IT Crowd, but also Doc Martin, Humans, The Kennedys, The Old Guys, Katie Brand's Big Ass Show and Casualty. She's married to Jonathan Creek alumni Harry Peacock, who played Floyd in The Three Gamblers, and her father-in-law was in The Tailor's Dummy.
There you go.
Yeah. And finally we have Gemma Walker, a standout role as Candy Mountains. She has been in 54 episodes of EastEnders, also Casualty, Vexed, The Bill, and 113 episodes of Family Affairs. Trivia. Checkreality.co.uk.
Yes, now sells 3D printed objects that are useful. So go and buy from them and tell them we sent you.
Discount code, yes. Go to checkreality.co.uk/Creek Podcast and you'll get 10%
I
off.
don't think that'll work.
Probably
But
not.
they don't mention Jonathan Creek on their website, which is quite sad. So maybe make sure you tell them where you heard of them.
Apparently Alan Davis had put a lot of weight on between the previous episode and this one, and David Rennick was going to write that into the script and perhaps poke a little bit of fun at him. But Alan decided that he would rather just lose the weight.
I wonder how you would raise that subject. Just like, you're fat now. I'm going to take the mickey out of you in this script.
Yeah, I think that's probably how you would do it.
That's a bit harsh.
Yeah.
What if he had some sort of mental health issue that led to his weight gain?
It's a risk you have to take.
Do you? Do you have to take that risk?
And what else do I have here? Julia Sawala apparently had temporarily retired in 2005 after becoming disillusioned with the acting game, so that's perhaps why she didn't return.
Yeah, there was a bit of a weird mention for her and Maddie, like I said earlier in the show. It was an odd approach to that.
Yeah. Anything you want to add?
No, not really. There's a whole lot of, in the DVD for this, there's a whole lot of good extras, but I'm waiting until we've seen part 2 because I don't want spoilers.
Okay. And next time we do indeed have part 2 of The Grinning Man.
Okay, so we'll see folk in a couple of weeks for that.
Cheerio.
Bye-bye.